Hi, I'm George Collado.
And I'm Abby Eaton.
We're two friends who met when we started racing, and we've since won a combined average of over 100 trophies.
Between us, we also have 15 years experience of driving for automotive films and various TV productions.
And this is Track Mode, the roadshow where each week we take you to a new race circuit, we explore it, we floor it, and we score it, all whilst giving you insight into some of the coolest motorsport coliseums, as well as some hidden gems.
And today, we're at Donington Park to find out how a mysterious intruder helped create one of the most exciting circuits in the UK.
I bet you've got some good stories.
It was actually where I won my second championship in the MX5.
That's right, yeah, and I remember watching that video. Did you only need to finish that race and then someone actually crashed into you and you couldn't finish it?
It was a slightly stressful weekend.
I don't think I've ever seen you that angry.
I was slightly crossed, a bit of an understatement, but thankfully I got the fastest lap, which gave me a full point.
That's right,
and that's what clinched the deal. So.
That's it. Picture this. The year is 1931 and you're John Gilly Shields of the Gilly Shields family. As you're chilling in your palatial crib, in barges your groundskeeper grabbing some random guy by the neck. "Sir, I just found this individual trespassing the Donington Park grounds adjacent to the Donington Hall." Before throwing him to the Donington Wolves, you decide to give the guy a chance to explain himself, and he turns out to be famous motorbike racer Fred Craner, who happens to think your gardens would make a wicked racetrack. You agree to go along with the idea, and barely a month after that, there's a bunch of motorbikes tearing up your front lawn. And thus, Donington Park was born. Well, this is not very nice, but what are we driving?
What are we driving? That's a lovely colour, isn't it?
Ceramic brakes as well.
I have actually driven one of these before, but not with a carbon ceramic, so that'll be cool to see what they're like.
I imagine that, listen, I don't usually get out of bed for less than 500 brake, so this is a result as far as I'm concerned.
Tick. By the end of the 1930s, Donington started hosting car races as well, the most memorable one probably being the 1938 Grand Prix. The English weren't about to let the Germans beat them on home soil, so they rocked up full of confidence in their state-of-the-art era D-type racing machines. But what they weren't expecting was for Germany to enter cars that they'd built in the year 3000 and shipped back in time, to be piloted by cyborg drivers like Tazio Nuvolari and co. And so it was to be that with a stiff upper lip but jelly suspensions, the English were being thrashed on home soil. But just as they were about to get lapped for the 8th time, World War II kicks off and the circuit was requisitioned by the MOD to use as a storage depot for military vehicles, thus bringing any form of motorsport to a screeching halt.
And now we interrupt our regularly scheduled broadcast to bring you another important message from your hosts.
I look like a f***ing idiot.
Right, I don't care if you're David Gandhi, no one looks good in an open face helmet.
No.
And now back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Fast and Flowing is the name of the game around the Donington Park layout. As you exit the pits, you'll find yourself pretty much in the first corner, Red Gate. If you manage not to get out of shape over the exit curbs, you'll soon be barreling towards Hollywood, a fast, double apex-ish corner that leads you right into the crazy combo that is Craner Curves and Old Hairpin. This is where all the action happens, really, kind of big shunts, big overtakes. This is the place.
You can go off right, you can go off left.
You could go off right, exactly.
I had my first shunt here, in the wall there.
No. Out of Old Hairpin, and it's a climb all the way past Starkey's Bridge and into the Schwann's Curve / McLean section. A slightly tricky and slightly blind sequence of corners. Not as blind as our next corner though, Coppice, which, spoiler alert, is 100% blind. And you turn in here.
Nice.
Use the curve there. If you're in a GT car like this, I reckon you can
smash it.
Smash it. Take a moment to catch your breath before reaching the end of the Starkey Straight. And here, because we're on the longer GP circuit, we'll be using the Fogger TS's, or as we refer to it in the industry, the left-hand side chicane.
Turn left.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
From there, it's a short trip all the way down to the famous Melbourne hairpin, more on that in a moment, and back uphill again towards the final corner, the universally loved amongst racing drivers, Goddard's.
Tricky. We like a tricky circuit, to be fair.
World War II eventually came to an end, but it took until 1977 for racing to return to Donington Park, after a chap called Frederick Bernard Wheatcroft, aka Tom, acquired the circuit. Tom was an absolute dude, and his dream was to bring racing back to the people. Under his reign, Donington enjoyed some of its most successful years, culminating in the 1993 actual Formula 1 Grand Prix, where Ayrton Senna went Super Saiyan after falling to 5th on the start, and then proceeded to pick off world champions one by one until he eventually lunged Alan Prost for the lead before the first lap was even over, a lap that would forever be known as the Lap of the Gods. Senna went on to win the race, roughly about a week ahead of Damon Hill in second place, and unsatisfied with all this, he also set a cheeky lap record by driving through the pits, which earned him perhaps the most appropriate fastest lap trophy in the history of F1, handed to him personally by Tom himself.
Oh, come on. Let's get some tunes going. Go on. Let's go. Bit of a drag race, come on! Ultra late braking.
It's so satisfying.
It's mega, that corner is cool. Especially once, as soon as someone knocks the ball lights down there, that becomes one of the best corners on this circuit. Yeah, easy there.
Beautiful.
Easy there, boy.
Yes, that's better. Come on, girl. Early and left.
Yes!
See, it wants to do it.
Oh, wonderful. You could brake so late and so hard there, it's ridiculous.
Come on. Oh, he wants to pass Drifter over there. That was him.
We're gonna get in trouble, we're gonna get in trouble.
Thank you, and sorry. My colleague's behaviour.
Apologies. Are we genuinely being held up by a GT3 Audi? Alright.
Please don't. Oh my god.
Oh dear. Right, dude, come on, get on with it. Thank you very much, sir.
Let's go for lunch.
He's going in.
Good night.
I know he's going in.
The Lambo.
Whoa. Oh dear.
You need some new underwear.
Abby, give me your best car YouTuber thumbnail face. On my way to collect my new Ferrari. Yeah, wait. That's it. That's exactly it.
No, this is some in the middle. 1, 2, 3.
Boom.
Oh my god.
Thumbnail.
It is wicked though.
Yeah, we're just jealous, really.
I'll go back to my 1 series.
And now we interrupt our regularly scheduled broadcast to bring you another important message from your hosts.
Oh yeah.
Sick.
Heated seats.
That's the most important part of a car.
Absolutely. No, heated seats, deal breaker.
Game over.
And now back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Although F1 didn't return in 1984, the circuit did have some good times ahead of it. Until, in 2007, the circuit was bought by a chap called Simon Gillette. Good old Si had some big plans for Donington Park, going as far as negotiating a deal with Bernie Ecclestone to actually steal the British Grand Prix from the hands of Silverstone, all to the tune of £135 million. However, instead of getting on with it, Simon just dug a few holes to make it look like they were making some progress, and then just spent the rest of the time racing with his mates around his newly acquired race circuit. Of course, when Bernie came knocking, Simon was still waiting for the cheque from the Nigerian prince to clear. There were rumours that Bernie knew this all along and planned the whole situation to try and play the two tracks off each other, though we can neither confirm nor deny that.
Right, no best out of 3, winner takes all. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yes!
Send it. Here we go, right, fast lap of Donington. Coming out to Redgate, we're going to use the chevrons on the pit exit as our braking points. We actually brake right after the pit exit. We're going to turn in. The apex here is that access road on the inside of Redgate. We're going to let it wind over the curve there. Hollywood, again, you want to kind of leave one car's width at the beginning there and then just clip the apex right as you're going into Craner curves. In a car with downforce, this would probably be flat out, but there we're just lifting off a bit. Hard on the brakes into old hairpin, turn it nice and early and then get back on the power straight away because this whole section is uphill. Schwann's curve, not a problem. Barely a corner. Full power up here. We're going to use the whole width of the track there to then turn in and just hard on the brakes into McLean's. Nice and straight. Don't stick too close to that line on the outside. Clip the apex nice and early because you can then, it actually opens up a lot more than you think and you can carry quite a bit of speed out of that corner. Blind into coppice, we're going to brake just before the crest. Turn in earlier than you think again because you've got so much space. You don't want to stick too close to the inside, about a car's width from the apex there, and then let it wind all the way to the exit, over the curb, and flat out down Starkey Straight. Over the slight bump, which is not so slight when you're at speed, and then we're going to brake right at the beginning of the curb for the S's, down a couple of gears, then we're going to turn in. If you're in a GT car like this, you can mull the curbs, no problem. Full power all the way down to Melbourne hairpin, just over the crest again, into the Melbourne loop. So you want to brake nice and hard and you want to square off the line quite a bit here because you want to clip the apex late and then just get on the power as early as you can. You want to carry as much speed up the hill as possible. And the idea here is to move to the right. You've got this access road here. Right after the access road, you've got a little bump, right there, and you just use that as your braking point. Turn in again quite late for the last corner. Late apex, let it rewind as soon as you can onto the curve there, and flat out down the straight for a complete lap of Donington Park.
After the whole F1 return non-return debacle, Donington ownership fortunately reverted back to the Wheatcroft family, who once again saved the day by restoring the layout to its former glory. Unfortunately, that wasn't quite enough to stop it from falling into the back of people's minds. Until 2016, when it was motorsport magnate Jonathan Palmer's turn to roll the dice, and he landed on Donington Park. Jonathan decided to acquire Donington Park, making it the 7th circuit to become part of the Motorsport Vision empire. And hey, if anyone knows how to run a race circuit successfully, Dr. Palmer does, and whilst I look around and I see no threats of F1 making a return anytime soon, I do like what MSV have done with the place. At least you can get some decent coffee nowadays. By the way, if you're inspired to tackle Donington Park but you don't live in the UK or can't make it here for some reason, simulators like R-Factor or iRacing are your next best option. If you don't have a sim rig though, you can find the track on Project Cars or Need for Speed Shift for a not so realistic but still fun experience.
I don't know if you can hear that, but we have thunder, lightning, and it's absolutely pouring it down with rain now. We've just managed to escape that as we were getting coffee.
Just.
And almost. Some of us managed to escape it. What a day. I mean, genuinely, I had a blast out there. The V8 Vantage was a dream. It certainly hurt a few egos out there, let's put it that way, not to sing our praises too much. I think it's time to score Donington Park. I think the way we should do it, the criteria should be just basically how much fun we had out on track, the overall vibe of the place, you know, the scenery, and I suppose the venue, the facilities, if you want to call it that. And personally, I'm going to score it a 7 out of 10. Would you agree with that? What would you say?
I am going to agree with you 100%. You know, I think it's a wicked circuit. You know, I've had some great successes here. I won my first championship here. So it's got a place in my heart as well. So yeah, I think a 7. But if we end up going to somewhere like Australia, for example, where there are some exciting circuits out there, then I don't want to score too highly too early. So yeah, 7 for me as well.
Absolutely. Of course, if there are any other tracks that you'd like to see us tackle in the future, please leave a comment down below. Remember, like, subscribe, all that. And it's a wrap from us at Donington Park. Cheers.
Cheers.